A few moments later.
الكرة من دوكو يعطي باس حلوة برشا هارلينغ.
New season, new trim, but same old City, because City kick off their Premier League season with a 2-0 win away at Stamford Bridge. And today we're going to be looking at where I think City got things right, the standout performance for City, and things that we've learned from City coming into this new season. But also I want to look at where I think Chelsea went wrong and where I think Chelsea could probably look to improve as the season goes on. But obviously, before we get into today's video and actually get into the meat and potatoes of it, please do comment your thoughts down below on the match and what you thought of everybody's performance, what you thought of his City performance, what you thought of new signing Savio, what you thought of Chelsea's performance, what you thought of like players like Neto that have just come in, and just Lavia is especially getting his first start for Chelsea, and Fofana being back in the team. Let me know what you think, especially if you are a Chelsea fan. I'd be very interested to see your thoughts. But obviously as well, like the video if you enjoyed. It really does help the channel out, so if you enjoyed the video, please do leave a like. It only takes like a second out of your day and it's completely free. And also subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We've seen some exceptional growth so far. Literally this month alone we've got 80 new subscribers, and you know, I can't thank you guys enough. I really do appreciate it, and you know, keep pushing towards that 500 subscribers. We're nearly there. We're about 16 subscribers away, and that gets us ever so closer to my big goal of 1,000 subscribers. So please do subscribe if you haven't already. It really does mean a lot. And if this is the first video of mine you're seeing, please do check out the rest of the videos on the channel by clicking the channel button down below. Takes you to my channel page where you can see a bunch of other videos that I've made, and you know, you won't be disappointed by any of those videos, and it might even encourage you to subscribe even more. With all that being said, let's get into today's video and look at the City vs Chelsea game and see how both teams kicked off their Premier League campaign. So obviously we'll start with the champions first, because they are the best team in the world, always will be the best team in the world, and obviously they were the winner of yesterday's game, and also they're the team I have an interest in, so I've got the most to say about them. All just makes sense really, doesn't it? But we'll start with Rico, because I think he was exceptional. I thought he was so good. Obviously Walker didn't play because he played in the Euros final, you know, giving him a bit of extra break. The only player that played in the final that played in today's game was obviously Cucurella for Chelsea, and we saw how his game went, didn't we? So yeah, Rico was in for Walker, and he was exceptional. He was so good, and you know, I would be very happy to see him continue playing there this season, because I just thought he was so good defensively. I thought he was switched on all the time. He had a great battle with Nkunku. He was always getting involved. He was always challenging him. Wasn't just letting Nkunku run at him and just keep backing off. He was engaging in tackles. He was going to try win the ball, and he was just a very good player defensively, solid defensively. He put in a good clearance, got a little touch on the ball to put it out for a corner from a cross that was looking to find Neto at the back post. Yeah, I thought he was exceptional defensively, and even in transition, bringing the ball forward, carrying the ball forward, dribbling, getting, you know, stuck in the midfield. He played very well, and it was a proper Pep fullback performance from Rico, and it just goes to show that he can play as a fullback. Obviously him being a right back, but he's very good in the middle, because he's very good with the ball at his feet. And even because he is small, even though he is small, he's still quite physical and likes to get stuck in and isn't just pushed around by everybody because of his short stature. He was exceptional. He was probably my man of the match, and he was very unlucky to have his goal disallowed, because you know, it probably was a foul on Haaland, by Haaland on Colwill, but I do think it was soft. But I can definitely understand why it was given. He was very unlucky to have his goal chalked off. It would have definitely secured his man of the match spot, which obviously I think Gary Neville went and gave to Bernardo Silva, which I thought was interesting. I didn't think Bernardo had a bad game, but I also didn't think he had a very good game, and I didn't think he was a standout player. Especially in a City shirt anyway. I don't think he was one of the better players, and I definitely think Rico was very unlucky to miss out on being named man of the match in the first game back. And you know, he didn't really feature that much last season, and I didn't really get it, because I think he's exceptional. And obviously we focus a lot on Oscar Bob, saying it's going to be his breakout season, and unfortunately the only break he's had this season is in his leg, which isn't great. So but yeah, we will focus on Bob, but I do think Rico can come a long way, especially if it's true that Walker is being linked with a move away to Saudi. And obviously, there is potential for Cancelo to come back into the squad, as Pep Guardiola said earlier in the week. But I think that spot has to be Rico's, and it is Rico's. It is Rico's time to make it his spot, especially with Walker not being fully fit and not having the greatest summer and also the greatest season before. I think it's definitely his time to shine and make that right back spot his own. And moving swiftly on from Rico to another player that I thought had a great game, and I don't usually say this about the man that I'm about to speak about because I don't think he's been that great many times in a City shirt, but Kovacic, I thought Kovacic was exceptional yesterday. He was making forward passes, he was running forward, he was getting stuck into tackles. He was obviously playing in that Rodri sort of 6 role, which I, previously said I don't think he can play very well. I think he's a bit too rash, but he was very disciplined yesterday. He was going in for tackles, he was breaking up the play, but he was also bringing the ball forward. And he's always been a very good carrier of the ball, a very good at driving forward with the ball, but he usually will just pass sideways or pass backwards. He usually plays football as if it's rugby, that he can move forward but he has to pass backwards or sideways. But yesterday he was pinging passes forward, he was making progressive passes, he was making progressive runs, and his goal was superb, to be able to bring the ball down and then glide past Caicedo and Enzo, like 200 million pound plus players, which just glide past them with ease and then put the ball into the back of Sanchez's net with a nice side-footed shot. Bam, we only got him for Chelsea sold him for 30 million, and he glided past their 200 million pound midfielders that they had to replace him, and it made them look silly. He made the players look silly, and yeah, he made himself look a proper player yesterday. And I was if he can keep form up like that and just keep playing progressive passes and looking to pass the ball forward, then I'll happily see him play a lot of minutes this season, because that was a very, very good performance from him yesterday, and I think he was, again, one of the better players. But moving on from two very, very positive things I've had to say, we're moving slightly into a bit more of a negative direction, because Doku, although I think he's exceptional, again, carrying the ball, his one-on-ones, being able to take on players, and not many fullbacks can defend against him one-on-one. I think his end product, his passing, decision making in the final third definitely needs to be worked on. There was one especially where Savio made a break and he passes the ball inside to Doku, and all he has to do is just slide the ball past, I think it's Colwill, just round Colwill, and Haaland is in one-on-one with Sanchez, and you know what happens when Haaland is one-on-one with the keeper. It usually doesn't end well for the defending team, but unfortunately he just couldn't get the pass right, and ends up hitting it off Colwill, and obviously doesn't get Haaland in on goal. And I think that has happened quite a few times. He'll make the wrong decision. He either can't pick the pass, doesn't puts in too weak of a cross, or just makes the wrong decision. And it happens a lot with Doku, and he's very good at getting himself in those dangerous positions where he can execute a killer pass to set up one of our players for a goal, but he can just never get that final pass right, that final action right, and it really is kind of detrimental to his game, and definitely to how he's perceived by rival fans. Because if you were to just watch Doku dribble and just Doku on the ball, you'd think he's a world-class player. There's so much talent there, but just those final actions really, really do hamper his game. And I think if he can just work on his decision making and his passes in the final third, he can be an absolute world beater of a winger. And on the topic of world beater wingers, I need to talk about that first half performance from Savio, because he was exceptional. He was electric, and you don't usually see that from an attacking player on their debut for City under Pep. But he was just taking the game to Cucurella, and he made him look silly on multiple occasions. He kept skimming him, and he was just causing Chelsea so many problems. And obviously, unfortunately, he went down with a bit of an injury and was forced off at half-time for Foden. But luckily, it has been said that Pep said that it doesn't look to be a bad injury, so he should be fine, especially with there being not much depth in that position, with Bob already out for a lengthy period of time. But no, he was exceptional, and if he can keep that up for the rest of the season, he is a world-class player in the making. Obviously, he's only like 20 years old. He's younger than me, So like, no, he was exceptional, and especially when him and Rico were running that right side. Nah, they were unstoppable, and Cucurella really did not have a good day at the office. And that just goes to show even in Haaland's goal, because Haaland's back like he never left. Back like he never left. He doesn't get that many touches of the ball. I think he only completed 3 passes yesterday, but he scored. Was in very dangerous positions, and he was always just in that box. He's always ready to run, start a counter attack, cause problems with his runs, drag defenders away with him. And I think he was very, very good yesterday at just causing the defence problems off the ball. And obviously, that's not even to mention his goal, where he picks it up, sort of just shrugs off Colwill, and then shrugs off Cucurella, who was meant to have Haaland trembling, but Haaland wasn't phased. He was ice cold, shrugs off Cucurella, puts the ball round Sanchez, and made it 1-0 and scored City's first goal of the season, which he has done for the last 3 seasons. And that is now, I think, 5 goals in the last 3 opening games for Erling Haaland. And I think he's scored something like 90 or 91 goals in 100 appearances for Manchester City. I think that is an outrageous number of goals. That's an outrageous goal to game ratio, and I think he is I don't know if it's goal scored. It's either goal scored or goals involved in, but either way, like he's an exceptional player, and I think he's very, very underrated as a player. Obviously not as a goal scorer, but I think he's a very, very underrated player, and I think he if we can keep him fit again this season, I don't see a reason why we can't win the league again. But that's all I really have to say on City. We weren't playing the best football, and sometimes Chelsea definitely did look better than us, but we kept our composure. We scored 2 goals. We saw out the game. A lot of our players played quite well. A lot of the players that you maybe had question marks over, like I said, with Rico Lewis at right back and Kovacic in the 6, and obviously Savio coming in, new signing, not really knowing what to expect. I think they were all exceptional. And bring on Ipswich obviously next weekend at home game, 3:00 kickoff. So I'm very excited for that one. It has the potential to be an absolute goal fest, but you never know with City. But with all that said about City, let's move on to Chelsea, and let's move on to what I thought they did poor, because I watched the game at the pub with my friend Joe. He's a Chelsea fan. We were watching the game. I got some insight from a Chelsea perspective, but from what I was seeing from the game, I thought Enzo was poor. I think, don't get me wrong, there were a few times where he played very good passes, but I think his first touch just isn't there. He's always taking a heavy first touch, and it just seems to be losing the ball as a result of his first touch. I think he's just a bit of a passenger. He's very much a luxury player in the midfield. He's I wouldn't say he's very press resistant. He doesn't have the greatest first touch, but when he has time and space, he can execute a killer pass. But I just think if you're going to have a player like Enzo, a luxury player like Enzo, you have to have world-class midfielders around him. And I just don't think in that current Chelsea midfield, I just don't think the team is set up for Enzo, and he doesn't look great. And I've even been saying this from when he signed after the World Cup. I just don't know. He's not really lit the world on fire, especially given his price tag. He's obviously been quite problematic with the racist chant that they were chanting on the bus, causing problems in the in the dressing room, especially with a lot of the players in the team being French but from African descent. And very problematic player. I wouldn't say he's worth the money that Chelsea spent for him. And there definitely is a good player in there, but I just think everybody that's managed him at Chelsea struggled to get the best from him, and I don't think you can really get the best from him with the personnel that he has around him. But speaking of the personnel around him, I think Lavia was exceptional, and that was definitely a position that they were missing last season, not really having an out-and-out 6. I thought he was very good. He was definitely a standout in a very poor Chelsea team. I thought he was definitely good, and it again showed me that it just annoyed me more than anything, because we had him there and he could and should be playing for us. But I do wish him the best. I think he's a very good player, and he showed that again yesterday and put in a very good, tidy performance for his first start for Chelsea. Obviously after joining them last season. I would just think they've got no killer instinct. Obviously, Jackson did score, but it was ruled offside, and there were a few other instances where they had the ball in the box, but no one wanted to shoot. Everyone looked too scared to shoot, so they tried to play the extra pass or tried to find a bit more space, and it was either blocked by a City player. Either it was usually Vardiol or Diaz, who I think were both quite good yesterday defensively, or it was that they were tackled and then it was cleared. And on that sort of note, I just think the attackers aren't really on the same wavelength either. There were many times where I saw Jackson try to pull off like a flick into space, and Nkunku just wasn't there. Palmer, I think, is wasted as a winger. He's an exceptional player, but I just think you just need someone a bit more faster out there. Because when you get the ball out to Palmer on the wing, he kind of does slow the game down a little bit because he's a bit more clunky than Neto, Mudryk, Sterling, and Nkunku. I think there has to be a way you have to try get him into the team centrally, because he's an excellent goal scorer. He's very good at striking the ball from outside the box. Excellent finisher. But I just don't think playing out on the right wing, I just don't think that is the play, especially in this Chelsea team, because a lot of the time they were trying to execute quick counter-attacks, and it was working when you were getting the ball to Jackson and you were getting the ball to Nkunku, but and even Neto when he came on. But I just don't think it works if you pump it out to Palmer on that side, because he just slows the ball down, and he has like a certain way of dribbling, which is, again, he dribbles at like a slower speed, whereas you have Nkunku and Jackson that will just sprint with the ball. So I think there definitely is there has to be somewhere a better position for Palmer to play, where you can get the absolute most out of him, but also not waste that right wing position, because if you have two fast wingers on either side, Chelsea can definitely cause you a lot of problems, especially with Gusto and Cucurella at fullbacks who can both overlap and do the work attacking as well. But other than that, like, I just think Chelsea definitely just need to find a starting 11. They need to find a starting 11. They need to stick with that starting 11, and they just need to let these players gel, or else it is a long day, because they will just keep switching out players in the starting lineup because of all these players they've got, and you're not going to find any partnerships there. There's going to be no real chemistry, and they're just going to be struggling for consistency throughout the season. So Enzo really has to look at the squad, find a team that he likes, and just stick with that team through thick and thin, and then they'll find some consistency, which, I think this is why, again, I think they should have stuck with Poch last season, because he was starting to find a bit of form at the end of the season. He got them into Europe after a disastrous start to the season, and he definitely could have kicked on with the team coming into a second season, with them having a bit of familiarity tactically anyway, and some consistency and some continuity as well. I think that's what Chelsea need, is continuity. These keep changing managers, keep having new players coming in. It's just always different. It's like being a Christmas temp, like a retail job. That's kind of what like being employed at Chelsea is. So you don't know how long you're going to be there, and you don't know how long your friends are going to be there. So it's like you roll up to work one day and there's just like 5 new people, and you're like, who are you? And that's what it's like at Chelsea. But with all that being said, please do let me know your thoughts on the topic, your thoughts on the game. Where do you think Chelsea are going to finish this season? Who do you think your man of the match was, and who do you think the worst player on the pitch was as well? And obviously, again, like the video if you enjoyed. Comment down below if you want me to, maybe on Wednesdays, every Wednesday, release a video and where I talk about the Premier League weekend as a whole, and not just speak about the City game or the big game in focus, where I just have make a video where I segment each game and talk about them a little bit. Let me know if you think that's a good idea, because it's something I've been playing with a little bit, but I just don't know if you guys would want to see that. So again, let me know. Obviously, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Your support recently has been amazing, and we're very close to 500 subscribers, and I would like to reach that sooner rather than later. So please do subscribe if you haven't already. Check out the rest of the videos on the channel. There'll be 2 suggested as soon as I finish this sentence, and one of them will be about how Calvin Phillips can get his career back on track at Ipswich, and the other one will be why I think West Ham are the dark horses for this Premier League season. despite losing in game week 1, but we don't talk about that. Anyway, with all that being said, I've been Nathan. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Shut down cases, they belly dots to the can't see faces, chasing the bad guy chase it. You don't wanna be the one like Ace and like GTA trying to turn them out wasted. Aye, tell a bad bitch come break it, body come mad, come shake it, then get back to the basics, bro, done shut down cases, they belly dots to the